Greetings, programs! This is Let's Code the Full 90, where we dig into source code and try to make the world a little bit better place. I'm your host, Rob Menching. Today's episode 1, so before we get started, let me go ahead and give a quick introduction of what I am. Today we're going to be jumping the Wix toolset, so let me say who I am. I'm Rob Menching. I'm the benevolent dictator of the Wix toolset. Been doing that for many, many years. If we talk about it, maybe we'll get into it, a little history, since 1999 or something like that. I'm also the CEO of FireGiant, where we provide support services for the open source toolset, Wix toolset. And that's it. That's the longest thing I wanted to get into. Let's go jump into the code right from here. The chat window's open. If you want to go ahead and say hi, things like that, I'm around and I will pick it up. What are we doing today? I figured the first project, we should probably go dig into something that is really, really hurting in the Wix toolset. We're focusing on Wix 4, which is the next version of the Wix toolset. And the thing that's way behind is our documentation. I know it's really unusual to say, hey, let's go start with the documentation, but it's so needed that we need to get into it. Now, we made a number of changes in the Wix toolset in Wix 4, trying to simplify parts of the language. It didn't go as far as I'd hoped we could. There's always more that we could do, but our XSD is still lined up right now with Wix 3, which means that if you try to use this XSD inside Visual Studio and you get autocomplete, it tells you the old names for Wix 3, not the new names in Wix 4, and of course that creates all kinds of problems. So what we're going to do today is see how far we get in 1 hour and 30 minutes, and see how much documentation we can do. Now, one of the things I heard you don't do on a live stream is you don't try to do math. I'm not really great at doing math in my head anyway. So I'm hoping that that won't apply to trying to come up with words and making words work inside Visual Studio as we're trying to write documentation. Now, this is Visual Studio 2022 that I'm working in. I haven't got it all configured the way I want, so if we pop up the options dialog a few times to get things adjusted, we might have to do that. All right, so where are we starting? One of the biggest changes in the Wix toolset in Wix 4 is the switch from the top level element for creating an MSI package. We changed that from being product to package. It was called product because that's what the Windows installer would used to call those sorts of the MSI packages that you'd have. They would call them products that would be installed. Products contain features. Features contain components. Components contain resources. That's kind of the high-level hierarchy of the Windows installer. The problem is that as we've gone on and on and on in life, the word package has come more to represent that thing that gets installed, not the product. Product is more of a marketing term or a business term. Package is the thing that you get out of the installation, or the thing that you double click that is the installation. It's the installation package. It's the thing that shows up on your doorstep because someone sent you a bunch of stuff. Yeah, you open up the brown box. Yeah, that's it. So we're going to see the word product all over the place, and I think that's probably the place for us to start, is to go and take the product element out first and change it to package everywhere in the XSD. Now over here on the right, I have the Wix 4 XSD. Like I said in the beginning, it's kind of a mishmash of Wix 3 and Wix 4. We've been so focused on just trying to get Wix 4 working that the documentation has definitely lagged. So I'm kind of taking this opportunity to hang out with you guys and get some work that needs to be done. Let's see. If we take out, here on the left, sorry, lost myself. Here on the left is actually the internal workings of the Wix toolset, the compiler itself. This is where all of this XSD ends up flowing into. Inside the compiler, there is a function, it's a standard recursive descent parser, that goes down and hits each one of the elements. So the compiler over here is truth. Whatever the compiler says is what is currently expected to be the language, and the XSD over here needs to be made to say the same. So if you're new to the Wix toolset, this might be a fun way for you to be able to map documentation that you may be familiar with using the Wix toolset and seeing how you can then run down and find out where that is handled inside the compiler itself, so that if you found a bug, you could maybe jump in and say, oh, I know that element and I've seen Rob work his way through some of this code, so let me go fix the compiler. In this case today, we're doing the opposite. We're going to take the code and we're going to update the documentation. All right, so like I said, the first thing here is I'm just going to see if this will find, if I say control find all products, please, control find, control F, I don't know. All right. And we're starting to get highlights of product everywhere. That's kind of what I wanted to see. Okay. So we are changing the product element to package. Now, one of the tricky things about this change is that in Wix 3, there is an element called package already, which represents the summary information stream, not more like represents summary information stream. It does represent the summary information stream in the Windows Installer database. And what we've done is take that package element in Wix 4 and essentially merged it with the product element because a lot of the information was redundant and it was annoying to have to represent both. And then we created, if I remember correctly, because it's been a while since I looked at this change, we renamed what the package used to have on it. We then renamed it to summary information. So when we go looking through here, we're going to find a package element. That package element is now the summary information element. We're going to go double check that in the compiler. And then the product element is now the package element. On top of all this, we had to write a converter, which is the Wix convert command line, to convert your code from v3 to v4, automatically doing that, making it easy for you to move your v3 code to v4. At least that's the intention. That was one of the more interesting things. So I think what we're going to do is, because I know there is a package element later, if we go look for package, yep, there's the package element. Right here as the first element inside the product element. So let's go find the definition of package. All right. Yeah, so we're here. Properties about the package to be placed in the summary information stream. So let's go into the compiler real quick and see if we can find our package element to start. All right, so I just searched from the top. This is the parse Wix element, Wix, of course, being the top level element. Then we go into package, and we're going to look at parse package element. Remember, if you look here, we'll go back real quick. Let's go back over here. So we were looking at product, the product at the Wix element at the top. Here's the Wix element, and here's the set of elements in that. And when we came over here, hey, look, the same things. Bundle, product, module, patch. Bundle, well, fragment, which is here. Patch creation, and package, and patch. So we will rename product to package in time. But first I want to go look at summary information. So we'll go jump down into that and look at the elements. Here's the attributes on that thing. We'll come back to this because we're going to update all of those attributes. And there are a lot of children underneath the package element. As you would expect, it's one of the top level, it defines the package, top element. There's a lot of things you can do inside a package. These are those. So if we get down to it, yep, here it is. Summary information. All right. So the first change we're going to do is, I think, instead of starting with the product element, like I said, we're going to go start with the package element and make that, get this thing, not this, this is the use of it. This is the ref underneath the product. Package, product, package, element name, package. Now, one of the things you're going to notice about this XSD is that it is large. I don't have my line numbers on. Where are my line numbers here? Interesting. Line numbers on this, not line numbers on that. We'll go figure that out at some point. The package here element, or we have a lot of elements. All the elements are inside this one XSD, which makes it not terribly fun to edit. But I don't think we're going to tackle that problem today. We're going to continue to deal with this as one gigantic, huge file, and we're just going to update the things that we have to. So let's go look at summary information, since we have the element that maps to it and the element that gets compiled over here. All right, these are the two bad boys. So his name is summary information. So I don't know, can I do this? Nope. Information. Well, rename did not work there. Rename, replace did not. So I'm going to go try again and see if we can do package and replace it with summary information. Yep, that's the use underneath the product element. That's the one we want to replace. That's the use under a module. Modules also have summary information, so that's a good thing. And we're done. That's actually kind of what I expected it to do. Now, can I jump to that definition? Yes. All right. Okay, so here we are in summary information. Yeah, my indentation is wrong for here. This is what I warned. Let's go look at our options for XML. See what our indentation level is. Keep. Now, insert spaces, tab size 2, please. At least for this file. All right. All right, properties this. I don't know how much of the documentation we're going to update if it's generally correct. We'll see where it goes from here. Okay. Remarks. You can specify any of the valid Windows code pages like integer 1252 or by web name like Windows 1252. See that reference. Okay. I think that's all still true. So the first thing in here is ID, and that allows you to set the package ID. Now, the Windows installer documentation, if you look up the ID of the summary information stream, that actually turns into the package code in the Windows installer, which the documentation says must always be a unique GUID. And I believe in Wix 3, in Wix 3, we have removed the ability to set the ID. So we don't do that anymore. All right, now we have a yes-no type union. So this yes-no type union, if we look at it real quick, is a yes-no type. So the Wix toolset has historically used yes-no forever instead of true-false. But inside Wix 4, oh, he won't jump to that type. Oh, it's right here, it turns out. Yeah. So we have yes-no. All right. So we will see that. So anyway, the yes-no type is, as you'd expect, the values can be yes or no. And the union here is for preprocessor variables. So that allows the XSD to handle the case where if you put $parent, foo, close parent, then it will say, that's fine, that's allowed. So you don't get the red squigglies underneath your preprocessor variable. That's presumably going to resolve into yes or no somewhere else. All right. So now, so that's the yes-no type union. We're going to see that a lot because that's essentially the Boolean value that we use in the Wix toolset. When the Wix toolset was designed back in, I think, like I said in the intro, in 1999, the standard hadn't been there for Boolean yet. And there was actually a debate, if I remember correctly, between yes, no, or true, false, or how to represent Boolean. Well, the Wix toolset went with yes, no. Now, the funny thing is that's a very long way of saying, hey, look, we have a Boolean called admin image. And if you look over here on the left, admin image has been removed. Admin image never should have been allowed to be set here. It doesn't make any sense. It's a bit that gets set in your Windows installer package when you do an admin install. Setting it manually inside Wix makes no sense at all. So that has been removed as it should have been. Okay, now we have comments, optional comments for browsing. And that looks like that's gone too. So I'm going to take it out and we will keep going. Compressed is also removed. Compressed is one of those examples of something that has moved up to the product element, which then was renamed package because to match bundles makes it more sense. Essentially, you say package compressed instead of saying product then package compressed in Wix 3. This will make it easier to set compressed just right at the top. All right, so we'll delete those two. Where is code page? We should probably alphabetize this at this point. Where is code page? Summary code page. Okay. How about we bring this bad boy all the way back up to the top? And his name has obviously changed. Well, that explains it. His name was summary code page, and that would push him to the bottom. Now he's code page. All right, and we can be a localizable code page value, so string it is. Description is an attribute value. That means it's just a string. Install privileges. I'm pretty sure install privileges has moved up to the product element, and it is no longer here. So we are going to temporarily just comment this guy out for now, because I think we're going to need this documentation. Oops. Don't bang page down. I think we're going to need this documentation again in the future. Same with install scope. I know install scope has moved. So both of those will save, and we're going to lift and shift these guys up to the top. All right, and probably the same for installer version. So a lot of the things that were on the summary information element in the past or the package element have moved up to the new package element. Man, this is really confusing, the naming of these things. It's so much better when you see it in Wix 4. And even better, in Wix 4, you don't have to specify these things. You can just ignore both of them. Or ignore the package, the summary information element completely. It's way, 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 way better. All right, keywords. Keywords haven't changed. They are what they are. Languages, a list of languages that are supported in this. This is the same as the languages that your package supports, so this doesn't make sense. Manufacturer, this is the manufacturer that you can set, and I believe the default comes from the manufacturer on the right, on the new package element. Platforms. Platforms are no longer controlled from the outside. They are now set. You now tell when you're building, when you call the compiler, you tell it what architecture you want to be building for, x86, x64, ARM, and so this gets set by that. Oh, this attribute. Hey, look, I'm explaining what the thing says. This attribute was deprecated in Wix 3, specify the arch switch at the end. That is now true. This is no longer used. And this, oops, platforms, same for platform. Man, Intel 64. Anybody still doing that? I hope not. Okay, we don't have any red dots over here. That means I haven't accidentally deleted things and created invalid XML. Read only. Looking over here, looks like read only is gone. A number of these are things that you don't set. You don't need to set in Windows Installer. Doesn't make sense to set them. And that's that. Now, did we get all of them? So let's look here. Manufacturer, keywords, description, and code page. All right, so this one's going to be one of the simplest options we have because the summary information has no child elements. Okay. All right. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to change this documentation to say overrides the manufacturer, the package elements manufacturer attribute. There. Or how about instead the vendor releasing this package? Instead, how about we say defaults to the package manufacturer attribute value. There. Okay. So that's that. Install privileges, install scope, installer version. All these things will move up. Okay. It's time for us to jump back up to where we set these things. So we're going to go back to the package where we set this. And now we get to go look at the package element. Okay. Which, if we remember, was called product. All right. So now if we search through here, the only use of packages is inside comments or the bundle. The bundle also, that's something I forgot to mention at the beginning, the bundle also references MSIs when you're including them in the chain as packages, not as products. So yeah, here we are. This is all the bundle documentation, MSPs, MSUs, yeah, so XC packages. So inside the bundle world, everything is a package per machine. Uninstall, install arguments. Okay, that's XE. Yep, these are all the overrides. Okay, we're now in burn land. I feel like we probably got packaged pretty well. We're just flying all around looking for anything that isn't in a comment or a reference to a bundle. And I think we went all the way around. All right, cool. That means we should be able to tackle product now. Let's see how many times product shows up. Ooh, it shows up quite a bit. Ooh, update the product. Ooh, that's interesting. Let's see, let's jump down here. Or product element, yep. Or product element, yep. Upgrade codes for the products that could be detected in the find related products. Yeah, okay, that's MSI language and product search. All right. This is all inside a bundle. Or no, these are the standard actions inside window. I'm just scrolling up. Major upgrade, allow, downgrade, allow, same version, disallow. All right, so this is the major upgrade element that talks about everything as a product here. So this is going to be one of the interesting challenges inside the documentation is how do we change things from MSI package or the word product, do we start calling that MSI package everywhere? And we're going to run into interesting things where the Windows installer actions like this, find related products, exist. We don't want to change that usage. But here specifies the upper bound range of product versions. So that's MSI package versions is what this is saying. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. I'm going to take the top level element, anything that refers to the element for sure. I'm going to replace that right now. That's where I'm going to start. And now that we've confirmed that package is the only thing left, let's go ahead and find, replace. All right, we were renaming this existing. I think I want to match case too. That'll help cut down a little bit. Can't do that one. Nope, that's an attribute. Update to product, that's probably this product name. No, those are built-in names. Product name. MSU product name. All right, we're gonna leave it for MSU. Product, we're definitely replacing that because this is the actual product element we want. Analogous to the main function in a C. Only one package section can be given. That's the product code. Target product codes. Product name. Product code. Product version. Yep. As you can see, the Windows installer refers to all these things with product in them. Validate product ID. We'll probably leave that. This is all within patching. And these are specific names. Product code. Where are we? Patch family. Yeah, okay. So I have a solution. We have a solution for product code that we'll come back to when we get to it. Let's see. Okay. Yep. Keep going. Definitely gonna have to look at the diff when we get done with this. Product code. Ah, have we gone around? Yep, I think we've gone. No, still going. Product. Nope, there it is. Place that one. We're not changing product search. Product code. Product element. That's a good one to change. Product element. That's a good one to change. Product element. Product elements. Multiple products can be shared across multiple products. So this is one where it's probably worth it to call MSI packages. I think that's going to be the way out of that. My product, that's all fine. Call it whatever you want. Fragment product, yep, that one we want to get. Okay, not product code, validate product ID, still going down, okay. Register product, moving down, okay. Publish product. Okay, so these are the actions that are explicitly called out in the Windows installer XML that map to MSI Windows installer. So these are the elements in Wix. Whoa. Not that one, Rob. Oop. We didn't do that one, did we? Okay, good. We didn't. Good. Okay. Control Z actually navigates backwards in the search. I didn't know it would do that. I thought it was undoing the actual search. So those are names of actions. If you look up in the MSI documentation, they're going to be called that. I don't think our documentation should call them something else, even though we're trying to get away from the word product a little bit. Let's see. Find related products, validate package. find, validate product ID, register product. The other thing is that you don't use a lot of these either. Embedded UI extracted from the product. So the embedded UI, that is, yep. So this is the embedded UI. Let's go ahead and fix that spacing while we're here. And we're going to call this MSI package. I think that's the MSI package is going to get us out a lot of these. Again, MSI package. These are referring to the MSI file itself. Under the product key, elements with identical behavior as under the product key. I don't think that's the same. Product code, okay, yep. So we have a solution for that. Product element, that's one we want to change, but not the find related products, and we want to change our ref to product. That's good. All right, we're not changing product language. We're not removing existing products. And we're in major upgrade now, which is syntactic sugar element that's down here at the bottom. I'm not going to fix all these, so I don't know why I'm fixing some of them. Yay, all right. So we've gotten rid of the big switch between the two of them. And I'm just walking my way through. If anybody has questions or things they want to ask, go ahead and drop things in the conversation. This doesn't take all my brain power. I guess it takes most of it, but it doesn't take all of it. So if you have questions, things you want to talk about, go ahead and drop them in. Well, we could chat while we're I stay standing here. I'm at my standing desk as we're doing all this. So we can do, but if you're sitting down, that's fine too. All right, we are now in the package element itself, which used to be known as product. Using this element creates an MSI file. An MSI file. There we go. Okay. So once we get here, we see our summary information is in place, our package is in place. All right, now, in this case, we start with all the elements and then the attributes. Now, the compiler always starts with the attributes and then does the elements. So I think we're going to skip over the elements. We'll have to come back to them. And then, so we're going to skip over these elements, come down here to the attributes, and walk our way through the set of attributes that are available. Now, ID would map to that product code thing that we've been referring to all over the place in Wix 3. And so you had to know that you were looking at, well, I guess it wasn't that hard to guess. You were looking at the product element, the ID on it. The product code is what the Windows installer called it. The Wix toolset called it ID because we tried to consistently use the word ID to represent the identity of the thing. And in the case of MSIs, the product code is the identity of the product. So we use product ID to represent what the Windows installer called product code. We don't do that anymore. Now it's called package. Saying package ID would be very confusing because there actually is a thing called package ID inside or package code inside the Windows installer. And that's, we talked about when we were doing the summary information stream element update. That's the thing that needs to be unique every single build of your MSI. Every new MSI gets a unique package code. So what we did was we got rid of ID and we said on the package element, we will have an element called product code. Yay, problem solved. And product code is also now optional, which means you don't have to specify it. If you don't specify it, the Wix toolset will generate one for you, which is actually what this AutoGen thing did here. So we're going to take this ID out of here. We're going to slide it down to NOP. So here. Now, this used to be required product code, even though generally what you wanted to do was set it to a star. If you wanted to have major upgrades, you want to have it reset all the time. In this case, it is no longer that. I hope it's still good. Is it good type? Yay. All right. All right. And it is no longer an auto-generate code, it looks like here. So let's look at this. Here's the code, get attribute. Good. Let's go jump to the actual implementation. There we go. And if generatable. Okay, so let's look at if generatable is, all right, so by default it's false. So let's go look and see, is it generatable here? It is generatable. Cool. So that means that the type was correct before. Autogen good. But it is no longer required, which is actually one of the nice things, because if we go look at product code and we'll see it is defaulted to star. So if you don't specify it, star means please generate a GUID for me. Yay. So the product code, I'm going to capitalize this for the MSI package. We have, I think I'm going to be using the word MSI package, or for the package. Tricky. Product code GUID for the package. Optional product code GUID for the package. By default, a new product code will be, make some space here. A new product code will be generated with every build. By default, a new product code will be generated with every build, allowing or enabling major upgrades. Okay, so to do a major upgrade, you have to have a new product code from one version to the next. And if you don't set the product code, then you will get a new one and you will enable major upgrades. Otherwise, if you have a single product, if you specify your product code, then you can do things like minor upgrades, which are a little bit trickier, but you can do that. That's why it's allowed. And, or you could change it with every single build, which sounds really annoying. All right. So that was our first attribute here, ID. So that means that the package element no longer has an ID attribute on it at all, which is nice. It clearly points to the fact that the ID is generatable on this thing, and that's a good thing. All right, code page. So this sets the code page for the MSI. See the remarks for more information. Okay, and the remarks are up or down? The remarks are up, like 1252, or see overview for more information. Right, so one of the changes we made in the WIS tool set is that we now support the UTF-8 code page. So I'm going to put that in here. The default code page is, the 65001 UTF-8. Now there were questions of whether this would work in Windows installers or the past, but given that Windows 7 is like out of service now and things were generally looking pretty good in Windows 7, UTF-8 seems to be a fine thing to set your MSI code page. And that means if you set it to UTF-8, you don't have to worry about all the Unicode encoding problems and things like that. It's just, hey, here's a universal code page. Go ahead and use that. Okay, now we have compressed. And I said that compressed would come back. So I'm going to set a breakpoint here. I'm going to go get my things that were commented out. Where did I put those? Oh no, did I get rid of them? I didn't, did I? Come on. Home row. There, I didn't get rid of them. They're there. Compress is in here, right? It is not. Oh well, let's go ahead and take those guys with us. Code page, all right. All right, HIJKL. So we're gonna drop this here. I should have kept the comments around it, or the comments around it, because I don't know if I'm gonna need it. Let's see how it goes from here. All right. So I said we were doing compressed. Let's go look at the other compressed. Oh, deprecated. Where is this? Patch creation. This whole patch creation thing is deprecated. So let's go ahead and drop compressed in here. Yes, no type union. Yes. Annotation. I want documentation, please. All right. Indicates whether the package files are compressed. And the default is default. Yes, which means, so yes, no, default type. That's essentially like a null. It's like you have to figure out what it is. Let's see, how does it get figured out? Compressed, yes type, no. So if it's explicitly no, then it's compressed. Okay. It's interesting that we set it to not set. All right, okay, so the default is compressed package. So one of the things in Wix 3 that we did, or that we did was, or didn't do, is that we, by default, packages were not compressed, and almost everybody wants their packages compressed. So we fixed that in Wix 4, and we said, yeah, you know what, compressed is on by default. All right. So that's why I want to make sure that we had that correct. All right, so here's installer version, which was lifted from the summary information stream, and it's just a number, and that's the MSI version. And yeah, so we just validate that. All right, cool. All right, so that's the answer to that one. Back up to our attributes. Installer version. Language. Language, yes. Can you use strings now? Okay, it could be a local variable. Have we done the work? So integer, if it's not a to int 32 compare, if it's an illegal integer, yeah, so it's still an LSID. Maybe one day we'll do the work to make that able to be a culture as well. Localizable integer. There you go. Decimal language ID of that. Yep. Manufacturer of the package. Is it required? I don't know that it is. So product language. Let's see. Is product language? Oof. We add that property. We validate it. We set that there. We set it there. All right, so add property. Gosh, it takes a lot of parameters there. Should have labeled all those. Bullet admin value thing. Okay, secure. Things like that. And does add property? Yes, should not be processed any further. Right. So I was just checking to see if the language is required. It's not going to fail here. Validate common summary information stream. So here we want to look at the language. Yeah, let's make this wider. I'm going back and forth too much. Language. Wait. Wait a minute. Where are we? Go back. Wait, do we not use this at all? We pass it in, but we don't use it. Oh no, there we go. So we do set it here, but that could be null. So that would be okay. Probably not though. All right. So I think that says that we have to have Wix package symbol. So here's the symbol that gets created by the compiler underneath. And if we look here, we will see the language gets set. Yeah, okay. All right, so I think it's still required. Now, do we want to mark it required here? I always wonder if it's worth it to mark things required in the XSD. It probably is. I guess you get the red squiggles. Sometimes it's annoying to deal with the requireds inside the XSDs. And I was like, you think I deleted compressed? I have compressed here. I think I'm okay. Oh, did I delete compressed? I don't know. Sean says I wasn't looking. Sean said I deleted compressed. Did I fly by it? Let's see. All right, let me finish language real quick. So it is required. Let's look at So compressed, I think I still have compressed in the documentation. It's right there. All right, I hope I got that right. If not, Sean, go ahead and give me another comment that says exactly what I'm missing. All right, manufacturer is good. Name and name is good. Name. Product code we talked about already, and that leaves us with scope. Okay, scope is right here, and it used to be called install scope. It's now just called scope. So manufacturer name, product code. Oh, there's where short names went. Okay, well, we'll have to bring short names back. Okay, let's see. Install scope. Install scope is now called just scope. And it's still the same, right? Per machine and per user. Yep, well, that's good. So use this attribute to specify the installation scope of the package per machine or per user. Yeah, can't say much about else. It sets a whole bunch of things for you, all users property, install privileges, all that kind of good stuff. And I think that means that that's why we were able to get rid of install privileges, is because install package scope now sets it correctly for you, and it's a better way to set the install privileges instead of that. All right, so install privileges. Boom. Okay, so there we go. Just for the stream, just so you know, there's an interesting delay in the time that I say something to it showing up. In my test, there's something like, I don't know, 5 seconds, maybe, or so, 5-10 seconds. So if you type something, I don't see it right away, then I've already moved 5 seconds beyond whenever you say something, plus the response to it. So it's a little bit laggy, which may mean have to be a little more specific about how far back I have to go. Now, unfortunately, I know I deleted short names, which is a way of specifying that you want your MSI to use short names in it. So rather than bothering to go get that attribute back from some information stream, I'm just going to drop it in here. So this upgrade code, scope, wrong way. Short names, here we go. I don't know anybody that uses this. This is here. It indicates whether the package files are installed using 8.3 file names. I don't usually say the default when the default is no, and I don't know who would put that there. It's essentially there for completeness sake. All right, upgrade code is one of the few GUIDs in the Wix toolset that remains that cannot be auto-generated for you. It's a very important GUID to have. If you don't put one in, I'm pretty sure we will get a warning for you. Let's see, we'll go look here in the compiler. Yeah, if you don't provide an upgrade code, you'll get a warning message saying, hey, you really should have one of these because they are very important for being able to do upgrades. All right, upgrade code and version. Version is just the string. Versions in the Windows installer are very interesting. Only the first 3 parts of the dotted parts are valid. So it's 1.0.0. The last parts, the rest of it are ignored. I don't know, valid. Ignored. Everything else after the first 3 is ignored, although you can put stuff you want. And maybe one day in one of the streams we'll do a test and see if we can what else we can put in the version's 4th place. I made a comment a long time ago that you could do semver in the Windows installer by putting because the 4th part of the version is ignored completely. I don't think you can do a dash. Anyway, we'll do experiments just for fun sometime. The burn bundle, Sean, who's in the chat here, has already been updated to handle some of the crazier versioning out there, which is very, very cool. So maybe we'll enable it inside the MSI and it'll go somewhere. In the end, the only thing you could do is minor upgrades, so I don't know if it does any good. And the Windows installer wouldn't do the checks for you. You'd have to do them yourselves. So it's only for curiosity's sake, not for any kind of real value. Okay. Now we're doing the compiler elements. So after all the attributes are verified, then we go through and validate all the child elements. So these are in alphabetical order. Why aren't these? All right. One of the things that we did before, for reasons that are, I don't know, we were still learning SSD. We made all of these, or we made some complicated choices by forcing a sequence, which would force the package element to the top. You'll notice in the XSD, you'll notice the compiler doesn't care. It's just like, I'll just take them in whatever order you give them to me. So whenever it finds something, it parses it and it declares that good. So one of the first things we're going to do is get rid of this outer sequence and put the children inside it. So that's that one done. Now this one here says there's a sequence. Now here's another sequence. And again, these are all just fine. So this sequence is gone too. So now the only value is these are kind of grouped together, but I think there's probably value in keeping them alphabetical. Min occurs 0, max occurs that. So all these are optional. Those had zeros on them before because they are min occurs. Yeah, so summary information, SU, UI ref, install. Wait, oh, advertise execute sequence. Okay, let's put the install. Nope, missed. There, install, and then advertise execute sequence goes up here after. Ooh, yep, ADV. There we go. And I don't need the min occurs anymore. I don't think. Right. Why do these min occurs exist? Because they came off of a set of elements that were inside a sequence, and you had to put the occurrences on there. Okay. Oh, here are they. Oh no. In the compiler, for some reason, we chose to put all the sequences up top. Yeah, it's because we use the same parsing code for the sequences. We just pass which table it's in. It's probably why they're all in order. Let's just make sure we match them. Install execute, install UI, advertise admin execute. Yeah, okay, we're good there. All right, so app ID, binary, compliance check, component group, custom. All right, so condition is now launch condition, right? Yeah, it's now launch, and it has a condition on it. Right. So we will tackle that later. We'll see how much time we have left. I'm gonna be happy if we get this good to go and things like that. All right, so that one's clearly not the right one, but if we go through everything now, we will be here all day. So we're gonna leave that behind. Okay, so custom action ref, custom table ref, directory ref, embedded chainer, ensure table. Okay, scroll down, ensure table, feature ref, feature group, icon, install execute. We saw the two instance transforms. Launch is condition. I want to move this here just so it's like waiting for me. HIJKL. There's this concept of parking on the downhill. From a long time ago, where essentially, and I try to do it at night, where it's like you get to a point and you stop at a decent stopping point, but at a place that leaves you ready to pick up the next morning so that you can take right off. So I think by putting condition here, it's a very solid hint that when we get to, it's like, oh, look, we already put it in the right spot for ourselves. Isn't that great? Now we have to rename it and go run down all the changes to that. Okay, major upgrade, media template, package certificate, patch certificates, property ref, requires. We got to bring requires in. Requires is a change to the custom actions. There used to be a separate dependency custom action. We brought most of it. We brought all the language parts into the core tool set because requires and the dependency system is now deeply integrated in the burn bundles. So we decided to bring it into the language. It also untangled some of our custom action or some of our extension references inside the core tool set. So I'm going to just say here, I'm going to take, can I do that? Whoops. And drop this here and call it requires. Whoa, that did not delete. I'm going to say do requires. And in fact, given that's such a great idea, I'm going to do it here too. All right. Even better. Okay. So requires, that's where we left off. Let's scroll that guy up to the top. requires. There's requires. Scroll them up to the top here, requires. Set directory, set property, SFP catalog. Software tag is another one of those things, same as requires. We brought it into the language, and we'll see where we go from there. Oh, standard directory. That'll be a fun one. We have introduced standard directory as an easier way of referring to standard directories in the Wix toolset. We'll talk about that another day. Not here. Okay, standard directory. Okay, summary information, symbol path, UI ref, upgrade, Wix variable. Look at that. Whew, that is the package element. 1 out of, I don't know, 500 elements or something like that. Let me take a drink here. Wow. All right. That's a start. I am debating what to do next. I think we might just do condition next, since that's the one big thing in here that changes, I think. Because after that, then we have to come up with a plan on how to tackle each of these elements as we work our way down, which I guess will turn into start at the top of package and go down. Because if we start jumping around, it gets kind of tricky to, you start having repercussions as it rolls up. And so I think if we take the top ones and work our way down, that might be easier. Because I don't think we have anything that was renamed the way package, in it as confusing a way as package was. So let's go ahead and go jump into condition. Yep. All right. And condition is now launch. Launch. Now I can't go searching for condition. All right, I'll set a breakpoint here, or a bookmark here. Clear my last book point. All right, clear that bookmark. All right, we have one bookmark. All right, I'm gonna search for launch. Launch conditions. Right. So this references launch conditions. It only references launch conditions. Oh, we did pick a tricky one here, actually. Now that I think about it, we're not just going to be able to rename condition, because condition is still used in a number of places where it's just a pure condition. This is only for the launch condition part. So that means we need to create a whole new element. So I think the answer will be to copy this whole thing, create a new one called launch, and then come back. Yep, that's probably the things to do that. And then take apart this. Yeah, it's exactly what Sean was saying. It's that there are many places condition is used. So now we get into the where do we put things in this gigantic file? I don't have a good answer to that right now. It's not like itself the higher level elements are alphabetical. Like, I mean, here we are in the condition element, and we're halfway through this file. We can guarantee this thing above it does not start with B. Yeah, it's E. All right, you know, I'm not gonna, given the lack any other choices, I'm just gonna drop launch condition here, jump up to the top and call it launch. All right, so launch conditions for only MSI packages. The condition specifies the inner text of the element. That is no longer true. We don't have any inner text in Wix 4. The parsing, the handling of that, sometimes it's nice when you could do C data, but it created really strange behavior sometimes in the editing experience with all the white space around it. So by just simplifying all that and just dropping it into always putting everything in attributes makes everything much cleaner from top to bottom, at least more consistent. So we're going to keep this MSI ref out to this link. Let's see if this, I'm going to drop this open in another browser. Wait, just click on this, open a decent browser. Hey, it did. And yes, so This looks like the correct link. I'm testing it. Yep. All right. They have reformed some of their links. No reason to keep using the old one since I'm here. And we'll do that. Launch condition. Redistributables, block. Yeah, so I think that's all still around and out there, although going and looking at the how-tos and tying them in correctly is probably a thing. Okay, so launch condition has no elements in it itself. Hey, look, white space. It has two attributes on it, condition and message. So condition is the condition itself, which is here. So before it was a complex type with simple content, which essentially says, hey, I can have text inside it. This is no longer true. Instead, you only have attributes. So let's see, level, there's message. So one of the things we did by simplifying this is that condition was overloaded and it essentially depended on its context to know how it was to be used, which means there was attributes that were only valid depending on what parent element you had. So when you were putting it under a parent element, like when you put a condition underneath a feature, the only attribute that was allowed was level, but you still had the option of giving a message and things like that, and the compiler would do the work to say, hey, you put this condition underneath a feature, and the only thing you can do is set the level. And you're like, well, then why did IntelliSense give me the option to set all these? Well, it's because the XSD wasn't strong enough to know if the parent was this, then only give you these options. So one of the things we did was simplify it, the language, by not using the same element everywhere. All right, so now the attribute are same element name. So but it created a problem then. For example, in launch conditions, when you had launch condition, which was only the condition element underneath what was the product, then if we kept that as conditions, like, well, we can't keep as conditions, so what do we call the element? We went round and around with that. And then we're like, well, we want the condition text to the condition itself to probably be in the condition attribute. Another option would have been expression, but that was kind of weird sounding. So that wasn't ideal. Let's see. Am I still a complex type? I don't need the simple content here. Sorry, let me think here. Still there. Okay, good. I'm still a complex type because I have attributes, but nothing else in it. All right. So when we had the condition element, then we had the condition attribute. So it was condition element with a condition attribute. No, that sounds terrible. So we went round and round and round. In the end, we decided to call the launch conditions underside an MSI package launch condition, or launch element with a condition attribute. That read pretty well. And then you also give it a message. So used only under fragment. This isn't necessary. So you see, we don't have to say you only these and is required. We can just say, well, we can say use is, did I spell that? Come on, required. Use is required. See, now we can mark it required because, hey, it actually is required when it's underneath, when it's a launch condition, where before all the attributes had to be optional because, well, it depended on whether you're under this or that, whether it was required or not. So there we go. The value of the text display when the condition fails and the installation must be terminated. All right, under a component element, we don't need that part. Under a control element, we don't care about that. Under a feature element, we don't care about that. Under a fragment or package element, we no longer have the or. The condition, that's what that says above. So this needs to say the condition expression to be evaluated at install time. There. And its use is also required. Yay, I think we've solved launch. Did we name it correctly at the top? Oh, before we finish, let's go and remove this stuff. We'll come back. Maybe we'll do the condition element today, but maybe we'll finish that up. All right, so this is no longer true. Action. Let's see. I'm assuming I'm going to keep these. So here I am formatting all this stuff that I know is not going to end up staying here, but whatever. Sometimes the mental it's worth the mental, or it's worth cleaning things up just to remove the mental gymnastics of seeing them all out of whack. And I would hit Control KF, but I'm afraid that's going to do a lot more damage to the file than I'm prepared to deal with at this point. Let's see. It would help if this was there. Okay. There we go. All right. So level's still a thing. No, not that many. Yeah, let's see. All right, and message is now gone because that's the thing that got moved to launch. Great. So now let's go back up and see if we can find launch. There it is. All right, cool. Woohoo! We took care of one use of launch. We have a half hour left. A little bit more than a half hour left. Whew, man, an hour in and we've taken care of summary information and package, which used to be a product. Plus the really rushed intro and all that kind of stuff for those of you that weren't here with us right off the bat, but that's okay. So let's see, the next thing then is, what is next? I guess we could go after condition, see where all the places that condition is done. That's the attribute name condition. All right, we're going to run into a few of attributes conditions. Ooh, what am I in here? Oh, this is bundles. Bundles do use conditions. Repair argument uninstall. Yep, that's in a bundle. All right, fragment. Ahaha. Ooh, maybe we should do that. Let's go look at fragments. So fragments allow pretty much everything in this under the sun in them. So if we update this, yeah, that's probably a good thing to do, is to do the fragment next. Yeah.
T minus 30 minutes and counting.
Yeah, there we go. We have a half hour left. So, all right. So we're going to try jumping in this code. This is my favorite feature. Go to all, not feature, fragment. And it will take us straight to where we need to go in the compiler. Ooh, drop. Okay. Let's go ahead and take this swing at the fragment, and because I'm hoping that given that we've done product, that fragment will be okay. Although that might be just wishful thinking given how many things can show up in a fragment. All right, so once again, all the sequences are at the top. So that's probably because product code was copied into the feature code originally. So let's go ahead and find our sequences. This is all choice. So that's a good sign, except these guys are sequences. Why are these guys sequences? That just seems, yeah, I have no idea why we forced such pain on to people. I think it's kind of a philosophical place I've gone to now where, oops, let's go back there. I don't like sequences in XML anymore. I like, it's just, no, just let people put the code in whatever order they want. It doesn't matter to the computer. So let the people organize their code. All right, so admin advertise, and then HIJK icon, install execute, install UI. Okay, we got the sequences. All right, we're gonna do the same thing we did under product real quick. App ID, binary, bootstrapper application ref, bundle custom data ref, bundle extension ref, compliance check, component group, condition is gone, HIJKL, we know that's now launch. Let's see if I got that right. Component group, let's scroll this up. Component group. All right. Component group. All right, here we go. Container, custom action. Custom action ref, custom table ref, directory ref, embedded chainer ref, ensure table, feature group, feature ref, icon. It's our two sequences that we added. Oh, no launch. Oh, there's launch. HIJKL. All right, you know what? We're going to bring this guy over. LM. Media template, package group. Patch certificates. Scroll these guys up to the top. Scroll these guys up to the top. And continue marching down. Patch family group. Right. Ooh, patch family group ref. Let's see, does that exist? It does. It just was missing. XSD here. This was probably from V3. So patch family group ref. Payload group property ref. Related bundle requires. That's not a surprise that we're missing requires. Trodo. To-do. All right. Related bundle requires. Set directory, set property, set variable ref, SFP catalog. We got our handy dandy standard directory. All right. I have a challenge. I'm setting up a challenge. I'm going to try to get both. I'm going to try to get standard directory and condition done. I don't know if we can do them both. All right. UI ref, upgrade, variable, Wix variable. Woo. All right. And that's that. And then he has a little attribute that could optional identifier for fragment. Okay. All right. So that means that that's going to take a lot of typing, a lot of thinking. All right. So parse condition element. Ooh, it's gone. All right. That means that we probably renamed all of the elements that were called condition are no longer called condition. They are now something else. Oh, I already had a bookmark here. Should have jumped. Okay, so condition under components. That's the first one. So let's go look at. So this is one of the patterns that's pretty consistent in the compiler. Parse component element. Yeah, that one. Parse component element. Now we're not doing the parse component element as a whole. All we're going to do is go down to his elements and try to figure out what is his condition. Let's see. I don't know what we named the condition element. Oh, we didn't. You know what we did? We made an attribute because that makes so much sense. Did the sequences enforce it could only be there once? Sequences enforce it could be only there once. Maybe the sequences may have forced the... No, because I think the sequence could have shown up many times inside the choose, and then all of the elements inside the sequence are optional. So what all I did was got rid of the sequence and said you can have any of these elements all by themselves. You can't see when I search for a method like parse component element. Huh. So you just see blank instead? That's interesting. I wonder what Visual Studio... Oh, let me see. I can see the stream. Oh, yeah. It doesn't show up in the stream. That's not where I want to be. Wow. Okay. That's good to know. So in case you don't know, what's the correct thing? I think it's Control Dot or Control T. It's go to all inside Visual Studio. If you haven't seen it before, and I have to admit, I didn't find it for quite a while, but once I found it, it changed my life. I was able to get rid of Solution Explorer. I just stopped searching. It's just Control Dot all the way. Now, what I actually did was because I jump into Visual Studio Code quite a bit, Visual Studio Code has the same sort of go-to anything, which is its Control P. And because I got tired of trying to figure out how to remap to remap things in code, I realized it was easier to remap things in Visual Studio. So I just went in Visual Studio and changed Control P after I attempted to print my text, my source code, I don't know how many times, because I'd come from Visual Studio Code, jump to Visual Studio, hit Control P, and it'd be like, hey, would you like to print this code? I'm like, no, I have no need to kill a tree for this thing. But Control Dot, Control T, whatever the things are for you, or in my case, it's Control P, because that matches what Visual Studio Code does. Yeah, it's awesome. If you haven't played with it, do so. All right, the condition on the component. Okay. So this means what we're going to do is conditions for, we're going to remove component. We're going to remove component. we're going to remove component. I don't care. All this is going to end up going away. That's the launch element. It just has condition. And hey, look, I need a condition attribute. How about I take this one? Okay, let's go find my, oh, I gotta go find the component element now. Component element. Component element has attributes. If I can find them. They're formatted funky. Com, attribute, attribute. Ta-da! Condition. Condition special evaluated cell time. I really should say when false the component will not be installed. Something like that. Okay. Okay. Yay. And use is definitely not required. You do not have to have a component condition. See, this is what happened. We used to have this as an element underneath the component. We did so again to make it so you could use C data as the element text, but it's so much cleaner. Just component condition, done. It's better. Okay, now that also means that component doesn't need a condition element anymore. And I think we're done here. So now can I get this? All right. I don't know. No, this is only in remarks. Is that right? Yeah, so this gets formatted a certain way when we get it on the web page. We try to turn these into links and stuff like that. I don't think I can put these links inside attributes. Maybe something to kind of tackle in the future. But right now we're going to declare that victory. Okay, so now we have a condition on components. And we got rid of the condition element. So let's go back to the condition element and let's use this to find the next one. All right, I bet we did the same thing for features. So, hey, here we are. No, that's the feature. All right, so you can't see this, but I'm going to use it anyway. I type in parse feature element into this, and it ends up finding exactly what I need to find. And do we have a condition here? Condition. Nope. Got one there. All right. Oh, hey. In case you're wondering where my mouse cursor was, that's not been really important this particular go around. Maybe one day we'll need to care where the mouse cursor is. All right, so we did not do just condition on here because there's another attribute that goes with it, the feature level. And hey, look, there it is. So we called it level. So changing the level of the feature uses the level element. And it has a value on it. Yeah, I'm not particularly thrilled with that one, but you know what? It's gonna be fine. All right, so let's go find launch again. I do really miss Control P, by the way, over here in the search in the XSD, that is. Launch LA. It's gonna put it before. Let's go ahead and put level here. It's upset that I've named two elements launch. You can only have one. Feature levels for MSI package. Okay, not the launch condition. All right, so up here. Okay. The condition table. Is that the one? MSI condition table. I'm doing a search real quick. Do MSI condition table. And that's the one, right? Yeah, it's one of those weird things. It's like, I don't know why the condition table in the Windows installer is the thing that controls feature conditions. And why they aren't called feature conditions or feature levels is a little beyond me, but they didn't. Okay, I got too much from the last side. Let's grab this. I only want the condition table. We don't have any how-tos on this, I don't think, because it's really not that hard. You essentially have a condition to be evaluated. Sorry. When true, it sets the feature level is set to the value. What value would that be? That would be this one right here, value, which is the same as the level attribute right here. So we'll just grab this attribute. level comes off, drop value here, value. This is now the value attribute. Used only under feature and is required. Oh, well, that's nice to say. How about we say that uses required? There we go. And also my feature is on the value result of this how about not this condition? The condition. Because the condition is now an attribute instead of an element. All right. That feels pretty good. Where am I here? Level in... Oh, yeah, in the feature. I'm back in the feature. That's great. So the feature now has... Oh, all right, we need to go fix that. So the feature now has a new element in it. You can set a default level. And you can also set the levels underneath it and then put conditions on them. So that's what we will do. Level, feature bars. All right. That's features. Okay. Back to my breakpoint. Control conditions. Oh, and we took care of this one. And we took care of this one. All right, let's go look at control conditions. Now, controls are complex. Not complex. They're all over the place. That's not fair. UI non-installer is kind of tedious to deal with, and with dialogues and things. So control. So I'm trying to remember over here. Jump to parse control element. Hopefully this is the right element. Yeah. Okay. So So like I said, these are complicated because you have a type on the control, which is the first thing we look for. So you can see the pattern here is a little different. Instead of looping through every attribute and just parsing them as we go, the first thing we have to do is figure out what is the type of the control, because there's several different types like here: billboards, bitmaps, checkboxes, edit boxes, so on and so forth. And then based off what the type is, then we know what sort of attributes can be available on them, because the attributes are similar but not the same. And this is more complicated because controls are more alike than they are different, mostly. And in the end, their differences just set bits in a field. So the idea was, hey, let's have less code by having all these switches, and then we can just do one big statement here. Yes, all right. Default condition, enable condition, disable condition, hide condition. I knew this one was harder. I just knew it. Okay, so show condition, yes. Yes, hide. All right, so the way conditions are done on controls, where conditions on components essentially disable the component when they're false, so the component does not get installed. Features, a condition will change the level of the feature, which essentially changes it from, it could be level 100 to level 0, and when you change that level, that affects whether the feature will be installed based off of the install level the user sets. So the install level the user sets, like install level of 3, then if you're, above the level, you don't get installed. So if you're like feature 100, if your feature is level 100, the user says install level 3, then all features that have feature levels 3 and below get installed. Features above that don't, they get skipped. It's a throwback to those ways when you used to have do you want to do a minimal, typical, or a full install? Those minimal, typical, full installs in the UI, you'd like pick one of these buttons early in the install. When people used to worry about disk space, you do these things. Based off what you picked there, then it would set an install level, and then features would turn off. So that's the way you did all that. And then the condition was a nice way to say, based off of, whatever you can express inside a condition, property values being set and evaluated, then you could change the level to, to be either pulled in or out of that install level dynamically. You could even disable the feature completely by setting it to 0. All that is really interesting things. And so that's why the level element has a condition, and it sets the value to that on a feature. The UI conditions are one step more than features, although maybe simpler. They have actions on them that then can be done to controls. And those actions aren't going to be terribly surprising. They're going to be set the control as default. So when you hit enter key, make this the default key, or the default control. Enable the control, disable the control, hide the control, or show the control. Essentially UI type things. Based off of these, when you evaluate the condition, set these hide, disable, show. And in the past, what we did was you'd specify a condition, you specify the action attribute, and then you would have and you'd have the condition inside the text of the condition element, and that's how you would control it. And it was tedious, and also you could, technically speaking, you can get into all these different controls that some show or hide and disable. It got really kind of complicated. So instead what we did was like, no, how about we just make it very clear as attributes. Where'd they go? We're just going to put all those on as attributes. So instead of having an attribute and a condition, now you just have an attribute. So if you want to make a control the default, you set the default condition to, and that'll make the control the default. So essentially I want to take what is all of this action with this enum in it and turn it into a set of attributes on the control element. So I'm going to grab this thing real quick because the text is essentially what I want. And then I'm going to go try to find control. That's not going to be it. Element control. I think we found it. Okay, great. And he has lots of child elements, right? Yes, element, complex type, sequence. Again, with the sequence. But they're all min occurs 0. Max occurs then a choice. All right, let's see. What do we do here? Child elements affecting the operation of this control. Oh, the condition. Right. So this was essentially, right. So yeah, here you could have any one of these elements, 1 or 0. And then, that's what that sequence is doing. Yeah, Sean, you were right. That's what that sequence, yes, could only be there once. Did the sequence enforce it could only be there once? Yes, but why did we enforce? Sorry, I'm jumping back to what Sean said about enforcing the install UI sequence and the advertise sequence to once underneath an element. But there's no need to do that because you could have as many as you want. So in the case of in a fragment or a product, there's really no problem in saying here's an install UI sequence, put the stuff in it, have another install UI sequence, but it essentially allows you to break up your install UI sequence into several different install UI sequences. And I think that's a valid thing to do. There's no reason for us in the language to force you to put them all in one. And in fact, the compiler doesn't do that. The XSD was forcing that. So if the compiler didn't do it, why should the XSD do it? In general, the answer is the XSD shouldn't. So that's fixed. Here, though, we are requiring that there's not more than one of these things, of these elements underneath. And that makes sense because this is a control. And then if it's a text combo list box, then it's essentially these are mutually exclusive to make sure that you cannot make a text control both a text box and a radio button group, because that doesn't make any sense. A control is only one of each of these things. Really, what we probably should do is get rid of this whole control and element concept and just merge them into one thing and just go, there's a text control, there's a combo box control, there's a list box control, and just bite the bullet and make them mostly the same underneath, and so on and so forth. So, in the end, though, as I said before, you could have multiple conditions to set the default, the enable, the disable, the hidden, all that kind of stuff. So this choice had to be added to allow multiple condition elements. Also to allow multiple publish and multiple subscribe. Publish subscribe is how you essentially say how to make buttons do things. When you push the button, it does this, that the publish subscribe helps you do those kind of things. So I think all of that says we take what's on my clipboard and we save it so I don't lose it. I comment it out so it doesn't confuse me. And the condition element comes out. It's not here, but we keep this operation. Yeah. And there's no reason that should be not capitalized. All right. No reason that should not be capitalized. In other words, that should be capitalized. All right, there we go. So there we go. Unbounded, right? Okay. So we got rid of the control element, and now we need to go make each of these an attribute. And they're not required. Wow, lots of requireds here. Okay. Let's see, best way to do that is to allows action specified based on the result of this condition, right? Okay. That, I think. And close it. Let's just get one of these right. So this attribute, get rid of that enumeration. All right. Default condition. When the evaluates to true, set the control as the default. Only use under control elements. Yeah, no kidding. It's an attribute. It's not under, it's on. And let's fix the spacing. Okay. Default condition. All right. Default. It's type X, Y. Well, these are not in alphabetical order, but they're kind of control ordering, common control attributes. That's what I want. There we go. We're going to put them down in common controls because all the controls get these things. So there's the control condition. DE. Enable condition. Enable condition. Evaluates to true. Set the control to, how about enable the control. Disable the control. And hide condition. Hide the control. And the last one is show. Do we alphabetize these? Alphabetize them. All right. Show the condition. Show the control. RS. Left scroll. Left scroll is not alphabetical. Sunken. You know, I'm going to leave them by the others for now. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it makes sense. And that takes care of action. So we have our sequence with all those things. Condition has been removed from it. Let's go look at our condition. Ooh, we have 4 minutes left. Nope. All right, back here. All right, so we got rid of action. We have handled this scenario. We have done control feature. We've done both of those. So I think we finally got rid of the condition element. Da, 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 da. Any red dots? No red dots. That means by deleting him, we don't have any references to him anymore, presumably. Whew, that was a good one. That was a good one. I really want to jump in the standard directory, but we're not going to get done 3 minutes. So, and no extra time for today. All right. Well, it's been great having you, Sean. Thank you for commenting and catching things as I was going along. And you know what? Why don't I just go through here a little bit? We'll kind of float around a little bit as the ending comes about. So this is the first one. I haven't decided how many I'm going to do, but it's kind of a nice way, hang out here and have some people chill, talk about code and what's going on in the world or whatever, and try to chunk through a number of things that need to just get solved. So I figured we'd tackle things inside the Wix toolset in a lot of cases that are just kind of interesting. or sorry, maybe not even that interesting, but need to get done. And doing them together is a lot more fun than doing them by yourself, because doing all this silently is just kind of sitting here at a computer, moving a bunch of documentation around is very, very important, but not terribly exciting. So I figured, hey, if we all hung out, we could have some fun together. Plus, for people that are not as familiar with the Wix toolset or looking for ways of breaking into how does the code work and how to think about the code and what's going on, I figure this might be useful for them as a way of getting into the Wix toolset, how to learn how to use it. And so I figured, hey, it might be interesting to a few more people, because I tell you what, a lot of this is just me trying to use my memory and then refresh my memory of things that have already done that we did not do a good job of getting updated in the documentation the first time and checking it out. All right, so I've got 1 minute left here. Let's see. I'm just going to go through and clean up a little bit of white space. Next time, I will make sure that I have my diff capabilities in place, because I don't have Visual Studio 22 set up to be able to do all the diffs. So before I check this in, I would always make sure I evaluate all the diffs and get to make sure I'm only getting the changes that I want and nothing else. And I will try to have that in place. So I don't think this is going to get checked in today. But we'll definitely get it. Maybe that's where we start next time. Park on the downhill, right? Get it checked in next time, and with all these white space changes, which hopefully don't show up once I get the diff tool set up, plus all the changes that we did do around conditions. And then I have 1 or 2 white space changes over here in the compiler that'll be left over to do as well. So I think on that note, we're down to 30 seconds. Referee's not around to blow any extra time. And honestly, it's pretty good, solid time all the way through. Hour and a half, 90 minutes. Got through the big package element at the top, the summary information, the 2 renames there. Arguably one of the more confusing renames programmatically. If not done in the correct order, could have been really weird. And then we got through the condition, which is also one of the trickier elements in the Wix tool set. And given that we renamed all of them, and we'll do that. All right, I'm calling it there. This is great. We're going to save, and we will pick it up. I don't know. Once I figure out the schedule, we'll do it again. And I don't know. Have a good time. Hopefully this is interesting. Hopefully some of you will watch it later. At least skim it. Put it on triple time. No, you can't do that on YouTube. Put it on double time anyway. And have a good time. So until then, everybody take it easy. I'll see you later. Bye.